We about to get into it tonight. Once again, it's Glenn and Cameron, your hustling godfather, and I'm about to drop the science on these urban myths. You know, my friends, people I've known 20-something years, lied to me today. Someone on the internet told me that my friends were lying to me. That they were lying to me. Someone who doesn't even know my friends, has no clue who these people are, but they know because they caught up in their feelings like Kiki. They caught up in their feelings like Kiki. It is amazing. Tonight, we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about it. We're going to chop it up. We're going to get into these urban myths. One of the things I want to talk about is I am very much, hold on. Wait a minute. There we go. All right, so we're going to talk about these urban myths. First of all, we're going to discuss medicine is bad. There are many people out here who assume that, getting vaccinated, because we had a robust conversation about vaccination and doctors and stuff. And I've had several people tell me that there are people in my neighborhood who are not vaccinated because they're doctors, and they lying to me. They're lying. They're trying to keep the status quo. Then this person, I want you to think about it. I have many friends, a close personal friend who's a doctor, and he's like, why do your doctor friends teach you how to prevent heart attacks and chronic fatigue syndrome? When is it the responsibility of my friends to look after my health? And this was the response from a feminine, bitch-made man. Because, see, I've been doing YouTube for 10 years. And I know what's going to start. When people get that aggressive and they start saying stuff slick, they are that close to being a hater. And that bitch is blocked. He will not be coming on the channel anymore because how egotistical you are to feel that people you don't know, situations you don't know about, that they're lying. Who made you God? Who created this situation where you know more? These people I actually know. To answer your question, I got on the phone and I called up a few of my friends who were doctors and was like, hey, did you get your kids vaccinated? And they were like, of course I did. Why are you asking this question? Then I went into the anti-vaxxers and stuff. And all of my friends who are doctors who have kids got them vaccinated. Got them vaccinated. All of them. So this is some craziness. Because once again, and we're going to talk about Trump. When I said that most of America is stupid, and this is how we ended up with Trump, this is what I'm talking about. Trump had the CIA, the FBI, the Secret Service, all of these agencies saying that Russia had interfered with the elections, and Trump's like, no, he didn't. Well, Putin told me that he didn't do anything, and I believe Putin. Over all of these people, over all of these intelligent agencies who get paid to find out information, he took Putin's word over that because Trump is an emotional little bitch. Trump is a feminine man. The tiny hands crew. He's a feminine man. This is why anytime you say anything about him, he comes at you so crazy because he's a feminine man. He's all up in his emotions. He is all up in his emotions. And, once again, a lot of folks are relatively new to the channel, and there's 10 years of content, which is way too much for one person to watch. I mean, literally, if you did nothing but watch my YouTube videos every day, you spend 6 to 8 hours a day for 7 or 8 months trying to catch all this stuff. It would be a full-time job. So I'm going to refresh because I got caught up with women's intuition. I'm going to tell you a women's intuition story. I got into a situation with the woman who got pregnant where the police was called. And I could have had her arrested that night. I could have had her arrested because she put her hands on me. And I'm not going to sit here and fight with a woman, but I'm going to call the police and get you off of me. So I defended myself. And after that, she went to my Facebook page and started emailing all my female friends talking about, hey, what do you know about Glendon? My female intuition has led me to believe different things about him. This is after she assaulted me and I called the police on her and could have had her arrested. And the cops was like, you could have been arrested tonight if I wanted it to. Now, in hindsight, I should have. See, this whole mess, because I'm about to go real deep with what I know. I am very much about the esoteric. The esoteric came with meditation. Let's just be really clear. Everyone has intuition. Females do not have a singular possession of intuition. There ain't nothing special. I have intuition. You have intuition. Animals have intuition. Every living creature has intuition. Every living creature. And when I started to meditate, I entered into my intuition. And intuition, could be a little voice in your head that's like, you should get on the highway. And you listen to the voice, you don't get stuck in traffic. You don't listen to the voice, you get stuck in traffic. This is what this trick said. She was like, well, women's intuition told me this. No, what told her that was evidence that this guy is not going to allow me to abuse him. That's what she ran into. She learned that I was not going to allow her to abuse me. I was not going to allow her ratchet, ghetto-ass mother to abuse me. I had a situation where the mother spoke ill to me. I actually tape recorded the conversation, and I went back and I said, she ain't never riding in another one of my vehicles. And if she talks to me that way again, I will file a restraining order against her. She had to come back down here and apologize because she has stepped in it. And see, many of these aggressive women are used to dealing with men who will not check them, who will not put them in their place, who will not honestly address the situation. Because I was like, she ain't riding my vehicle, and she speaks to me that way, I will call the police and put a restraining order on her. So she had to come back, and even with this in her ghetto, stupid, she was one of the dumb people in America. She's like, ain't nothing better than family. I'm all about being family. One of these simple Negroes. That's who she was, with low impulse control, because she put her hands on me, and I told her, if you touch me, I'm calling the police. And she took her hands off me. Low impulse control. So women's intuition, women do have intuition, but so do men. And there's this is a urban myth that women have this special anointment, this special gift of foresight. You don't. What you have is called evidence. Like when you catch your husband cheating You find lipstick on his collar. You find panties in his coat pocket. That ain't women's intuition. That's called evidence. It's called evidence. That ain't women's intuition. But this is one of the reasons that so many people are not successful, because they believe in bull crap like that. I mean, seriously, Trump is the tiny hands crew. Sierra, yeah, that's what I know. And see, once again, and one of the things that I'm going to bring back to the Disruptive Man channel, male channel, is talking about the law. You know, if you have someone in your apartment and they want to leave and you try to block them, technically that's called kidnapping. Technically, that's the legal definition of, if someone's trying to leave and you prevent them from leaving, that is kidnapping. How many men have you been into a situation with a woman, she didn't want you to leave, she blocked the door? If she puts you in a situation where you got to put your hands on her to get out, she's created an adverse event. It's kidnapping. It's battery. And many men allow women to do this stuff because they don't know the law. Like, you just go up and slap somebody, you can go to jail for that. Right, women are not the only ones with emotions. So a lot of self-doubting people ignore their intuition. Mike Elliott's true. Weak men run it for the rest of us. Malik, this is why women feel they can put their hands on men without repercussions, because most men don't know the law. The disrespect and smacking men is not cute. That goes for anyone putting their hands on anyone else, male or female. Pretty much. And there are many women feel that it's a personal right for them to hit a man. And the first thing is like, don't hit me. Don't touch me because I'm a woman. This is what's called a social custom. Men aren't supposed to hit women regardless of what women do. And the most egregious violators of putting their hands on men will say this all day long. Well, you know, you're not supposed to hit me because I'm a woman. And technically, gentlemen, if you're in a situation where a woman, the police are called, you don't say, I put my hands on the woman. Don't say that. Wrong language. Say, your officer, I was defending myself from her personal attack. That's the language that I use. She attacked me, and I defended myself. In the United States of America, if anyone attacks you, you have the right to defend yourself. Mike Elliott, how come female intuition can't help them choose good men? And this is something else too. If they were truly in touch, because, you know, we're going to get with the esoteric. I was deep into meditation, and this is what really put me in touch with my intuition. I started to listen to that little voice. I started to heed that, and my life got better. Many women occupy their masculine. Just like we have an epidemic of feminine men, we have an epidemic of masculine women. And the masculinity traits mute her intuition. And this is why they cannot find anything. Honestly, I don't think Kobe did it. You know, I think Kobe did something to that girl as much as I believe Mike Tyson raped that chick. You know, years ago, I saw that show where Mike Tyson was on, and the chick in question, she was shaking her ass. She was doing all kinds of stuff. And essentially what she did is she let Mike hit it, and Mike was like, hit it and was about to leave, and then she got offended, and then she's like, rape, rape, rape. Thank you, Roderick. The art of becoming more. My friend called the police because his then girlfriend did that, and the cops took her away. That was the end of their relationship. And I've had people fight me on that because they do not want to hold women accountable. I had people fight me. It's like, well, that was just you. You got lucky. I was like, no, I had the knowledge of how to speak to cops. I didn't get lucky. And I'm trying to educate you, just like when Kevin Samuels does a video, and I've seen Kevin do this. It's like, I've been in corporate America, I've done this, I've done this, I've done this. And I know this, where you think and feel this versus against what I know. And this is one of the reasons, because I got a comment like, I beg to differ with female intuition is real. So is men and women. Females have no monopoly on intuition. None whatsoever. And most women, because they're in their, so many women are in their masculine, that they cut their they cut the intuition off. This is why they be getting in these bad situations, plus, female nature. Be real, a woman pulled a knife on the man on the train today in Brooklyn and was surprised when the man pulled the knife back out on her. They getting rough in these streets. Roger, if a woman punches me like a man, I gotta do what I gotta do. Hope this never happens. Well, this is the thing, and this is the good news. Most women don't put their hands on men. Most men. And this is a socialization thing, because men learn early that if I put my hands on someone, they're going to hit back. Women don't get that lesson. Pretty much, Goddess Noel. Pretty much. Pretty much. Pretty much. Good Lord, Ganja. The expat home, thank you for the $2 super chat. Love the mindset. Malik, it's the food, it's the socialization, because if you've ever dated a woman in another country, the stark difference between the femininity of American women and foreign women, it is just like, oh my God, this is so different. Actually, I was doing some research the other day. The average shoe size of the American woman in the 1950s was a 3.5 or 4. Because, I was looking at some old pictures, and I noticed all the women had really little feet. And I'm a foot connoisseur, and I like women with little feet. And I was like, good Lord, all these women had these little feet. And I looked it up. Women in the 1950s had small feet. Let me see if I still got this on my phone, because this is where I was looking it up. At the beginning of the 20th century, the average woman wore a size 3.5 or size 4 shoe. This increased to 5.5 in the 40s and remained this way in the 60s. All right. Why our feet, size 8 is the new 7. Why our feet are getting bigger. Bad news. Our shoes aren't getting smaller. Our feet are getting bigger. According to a new report by the National Shoe Retailers, the average woman's foot has grown by more than the size over the last 3 decades. The human body is constantly evolving as nutrition for people in the Western world increases, as has access to high-calorie junk food. So have body sizes. At the beginning of the 20th century, the average woman wore a 3.5 size 4 shoe. This increased to a 5.5 in the 40s, remaining its way to the 60s. By the 70s, the average female foot was 7.5. And now, 40 years later, the most common foot size for the American female is somewhere between 8.5 and 9. People are getting taller and heavier, and that's for this as they have for generation after generation. Podiatric historian William Rosser told the lifestyle blog Divine Caroline, their feet are getting larger in proportion to their bodies. It's just not a U.S. phenomenon. The UK tabloid Daily Mail recently reported the average size of British women's feet have grown noticeably over the last 5 years, contributed to growth in diet and increase in obesity. See, I was on to something with this feet because I like women with little feet. Women with little feet tend to be more feminine, and it's a hormonal thing. She came into Mike's room, pretty much. Benny. Yeah, because this is the thing that, people mess with transsexuals. That's still a man. That's still a man. They could, and the funniest thing is when you get your ass whooped by a transsexual, that's high comedy, man. Steve Jameson, I agree. All right, let's see. Let's go back. Quinn Jackson, the White Knights, they everywhere, man. Hop for the woman to sleep. The art of becoming more. You were on point about many women being in our masculine too much. There's great power resting in our feminine energy. Yes, because masculine energy and feminine energy supposed to meet and build. And this is one of the reasons that many mid-toe and red pill men, they bring so much feminine energy to the table. Often they'll become beta cucks because the masculine energy in the woman, because it is reverse polarization. The male's feminine, the woman's masculine, they get together and they have this dysfunctional relationship. Sometimes we ignore our intuition, choose to follow our flesh, or we have low self-esteem and self-worth. I love girly girl women. Mike Alley, the way these American women, because when I was in London, I was on the bus and I noticed that the European women were substantially smaller than American women. They were shorter and you can Google it. European women, these girls are like tiny. I know, Ganja. The art of becoming more. No, the shoe size. No, the foot measurement has changed. Google pictures of women from the early 20s and 30s and 40s, and you will see that all these women had really tiny feet. Really tiny feet. They were slim, they were trim, totally different. I got a friend who's a cop who's always telling me stories about how lesbian stuff don't want to comply and hit police officers to get believed because they still hide under. I'm just a girl. I'm just a girl. You can't hit a girl. So what if I hit you upside the head with a 2x4? There was this movie, one of the Marvel movies, where this girl was trying to kill this dude, and he got in a position where he could have clocked her, and he held back because she was a girl, and this chick was trying to kill her. This is how idiotic this stuff. Fajita, that's not true. I went to school with some sisters that had some asses, man. They didn't have the big badonkadonk where they can stand and they can clap. They didn't have all that, but they had asses. Mike Elliott, the fat chick marketing department is working overtime. There's a whole group of people pushing for fat women to be treated equally to smaller women. They're pushing for that. Benny, a cute, chubby chick in her 20s, will be a fat, unsightly slob in her 40s. Pretty much. Rod, for real estate, this is the gynocracy that we talk about because Snoop Dogg, who has money, apologized to Gayle King because of the gynocracy of what you speak of. Pretty much, Malik. They out here wearing 13s like me, man. One of the most unattractive things for me is a big-footed woman. I can't stand that. I've never, even as a little kid, I never liked that. Steve Jameson, that's a good point. Mike, Mike Ellie, go to the Disruptive Male and I talk about the feminization of men. Kanchi, the ankles really will tell you the tale. The ankles will. Also, her face and neck area will tell you. Because if she's going to chunk up, this is where the fat lives. Like, I mean, it's interesting because you can tell by her face, you can tell by her neck, you can tell by her calves. I mean, you just, these are big girl signs that they're going to be a big girl one day. Steve Jameson, that is crazy. I am not going to get in a fight with some dude I don't know over a chick I don't know. That ain't happening. That ain't happening. Mike Smith, I agree 100% with you. Has the height of women changed a lot? Let's see. Yes, the average height for women increased from slightly 5'3" in 1960 to 5'4" in 2002. What's the size of the average woman in the 1950s? A woman, yes, women in the 1950s were 5'2". Let's go to 1930s. Oh, this is talking about the ideal woman, not actual women. There was a time when and most American children were expected to outgrow their parents. Since data on Americans' average height was first collected in the early 20th century, and adolescents grew about an inch and a half taller every 20 years. But recent measurements suggest Americans' average height has little or more or less hit the ceiling. The reason explains later is most Americans now face few nutritional health related stresses in their youth. People grow most as infants, then as adolescents, and most Americans have avoided disease and eaten enough milk and meat in their youth to reach their genetic height potentials. Wow, that's pretty deep to know that. Doesn't really bother me if a woman wears socks to bed. It has gone up a little bit, but it seems to have stalled out. God knows I was single for many years. When I broke up with my son's father, when a woman has to provide for a child alone, it puts her in a masculine mindset. I didn't realize it until recently. Absolutely, 100%. Daryl Moody. Don't beat them up. Call the police on them because if they put their hands on you, it's called battery. And this is the thing. This was so funny about my situation because she was a girl and she think nothing was gonna happen. She told the police the truth. It was like, well, he tried to leave and I stopped him. And the police was like, how did you stop him? She's like, I got in front of the door. I wouldn't let him out. And the cop was like, technically that's called kidnapping. And she freaked out. She freaked out. Roderick, I remember that, and people were so upset with him. They was like, "Well, he shouldn't have hit her. She shouldn't have spit on him." Tess Holiday, man, don't get me started on that. Don't get me started on that. The fat acceptance movement is real. Rice threat towards Snoop's. Who threatened Snoop? I don't know why he apologized. Gail King should have never asked those questions. Jordan gives them a logical reason to why things are the way they are. Yep, face angles, the wrist test, fat girls can knock you out. The expat home, that's true. That's why so many women can't vintage shop. The clothes and the shoes too small for them. Pretty much. Sugar has a lot to do with it. Yeah, because essentially women, been my experience because I'm a foot guy. I don't suck those, but I like women with pretty feet, small, dainty feet, little ankles, juicy calves, nice legs. And it's been my experience that women proportionally who had smaller feet were more feminine. That's been my experience. I know, man. I know, Steve. I don't know if Maryland had the eating order. Power to achieve, that's a good thing. Darren Mooney, I work at the jail. We see it all the time. Women think they're allowed to hit men. It's an entitlement mindset. What can you do against verbal assault from a woman? Just walk off or cuss her out and keep it moving. They're crying like, yeah, I hit him, but he's a man. How can I go to jail for this? It's called battery, trick. Daughter becoming more. Marilyn had many issues. She had a troubled childhood and really could not move past being a sex symbol or the president's concubine. Paul Brown, yep, I work in jail as well, and women do more battery and domestic violence charges. I actually sat down this channel and I had women want to argue with me. Women have a propensity for violence and aggression. Benny, one of the things that's happened is women have become more masculine. With that, the urge to becoming more masculine, they become bigger, heavier, and more aggressive. They become very aggressive. So we talked about urban myths, female intuition, medicine is bad. Now we're about to get into the big one. The rich are corrupt. Now, this is a real killer of an argument. Because when you think that rich people are corrupt, you inherently think that the only way that you can get money is to do something wrong. That's the fallacy in that thinking. Paul Brown, my lady neighbor, went to jail the night before last for choking her husband. The next day got out bragging about she always whips his ass. That's a masculine chick. That's a masculine chick. I had a woman hit me. I called the police. They took her to jail. Good man. Good man. Propensity to be violent and aggressive with people they know, not strangers. Well, a lot of these street urchins, a lot of these hood chicks, they'll go off on anybody. They will go off on anybody. Position leadership doesn't help women submit. No, it doesn't. The art of becoming more. I know it's a silly argument, but this is what we're talking about. We're talking about urban myths. Tonight, we're talking about things and fallacies because I had someone want to argue with me, told me that all my friends were doctors when I asked them, because I called them up and I was like, hey, yeah, your kid's vaccinated, right? And they're like, yeah, of course. And it's like, they're all lying. People I've known 20-some years, but they're lying to me. And he seems to have the inside track on people he's never met, he's never talked to, he doesn't know. And was willing to argue me teeth and nail. Because see, once again, and I told him, he started acting like a feminine man. Because see, feminine men start off with the personal attacks in there. They can't make logical, reasonable arguments on their merits. They start off with the personal attacks. So once you get into that, Quinn Jackson, they are street urchins. These street urchins, these hood chicks, these weave monoliths. Nobody gets a pass for putting their hands on me. I got friends 6 feet deep for walking away and getting stabbed in the neck. Just like a guy who argued with me calling the stock market gal and he won't study charts. There's a whole bunch of stuff out here. Ganja, that's crazy. Benny, Hollywood makes all of this up. Think Titanic, the movie. Who was the bad guy, the rich guy? Leonardo, the poor kid, was the good guy. You got a point there because whenever you see a movie, the villain is always rich and diabolically evil. You always see this, like in the James Bond movies and stuff. The bad guy is always a rich guy who wants to take over the world. Pretty much, Malik. Quentin Jackson, I can't listen to a lot of his new music. I just discovered the baby, and a lot of his stuff is funny and creative. Maxine Augustine, if you go to college, you can get a credit card just like that. No job, no income. They want to get you hooked on the credit drug immediately. Well, I mean, yeah, she was socialized different, man. One of the things that happens with this rich people are corrupt is it plants the seed that for you to become wealthy, you got to do something wrong or you have to take advantage because Big pharma. You hear all the stuff with the vaccines, big pharma. They're doing all this stuff to people. And oh yeah, this people was like, they test on the poor, but they target the rich. Who is they? It's kind of like Trump and this deep state thing. It's just a made up narrative in his mind, but because he's 77 years old, he's never to be accountable for anything. He thinks this stuff. He's weighed in on Roger Stone's lawsuit on his trial, talking about this is a miscarriage of justice. Roger Stone did things that were wrong, but they're like, we shouldn't punish him because he's old. Yeah, you know, you can get credit cards if you're in college very easy. Inspired. Well, if all the people who don't vote voted, they would change the outcome of every election. And this is a sad fact because if you're black, there were people who literally died for you to have the right to vote. And you talking about I ain't voting because I don't like. I think that's just trash. Really? I didn't know that the baby was the real gangster. Roger. Glenn, the truth is, most people even try to get to know seven-figure earners. That's why people stereotype. Well, once again, like, oh, update. The hater I was talking about last night emailed me like 3 times today and commented on the channel, and I had to block him. One of the, this person's trying to have this conversation with me based on how he feels, not based on any facts. He's like, well, if it weren't for this YouTube channel, you'd be the 9 to 5. I've not had a 9 to 5 in 20 years, and this YouTube channel is 10 years old. If you do the math, but he was trying to tell me, I'll never have another 9 to 5 again in my life. I've actually been at the position where I have worked for myself longer than I work for anyone else. I will never have another 9 to 5 ever again. But you got people out here who believe in these urban myths. Art Austin, man, that is sad, man. Sorry for your loss. And this is why I say call the police on women and defend yourself. Don't let a woman just put her hands on you and get away with it, because she will repeat that. I mean, Roderick, it's just, once again, most of these urban myths come from people who are very emotional. You ever go in the hood and you see people fighting on the street? Crackheads, drug addicts fighting in the street, very emotional, low impulse control. All of the things that move you away from success, that move you far away from success. If our votes didn't count, the Republicans wouldn't fight so hard to establish and maintain voter suppression. That's a good point. Well, one of the things that, let's get into, back into the esoteric in female's intuition. Once you start meditating, this opens a door in your mind, because I want you to think about your thinking. What do you think about every day? Frequently, you're in the position where you're reacting to something. When was the last time you actually sat down and thought about something, just thinking about it? If you're poor, pretty rare, because there's all of these fires in your life. The car broke down, rent's due, short $50. So you're in a defensive, stressful posture most of the time mentally. And when you meditate, you go to a quiet place. And also, the first few times I meditated, it was so hard for me to sit still because I would start itching. All this thing would happen because I wasn't used to being still and contemplating. I wasn't accustomed to contemplating. And I started meditating 6 months before I came up with a plan on how to get out of the boarding house. That was a plan that I sat down, I thought it out, I executed, and it worked. Man, the people of Walmart videos are atrocious. Steve Jameson, let me go ahead and describe the hater because once again, he emailed today and I just blocked him. Anyone that has the time to send this stuff, because this was unsolicited. This wasn't he just found out that I deleted the channel and he went off and he was like, he deleted the channel. He don't know why I deleted the channel. He doesn't know the channel is going to start up. I'm just going to do it totally differently because I have new information. People like that who want to see you lose, it's because they lose so much in life. They can't stand to see someone consistently win. I have been winning on this YouTube channel for 10 years. I've been winning for 10 years on this YouTube channel. And this person has seen it, like, I don't even know who he is. And he's like, I told you before, you have no credibility. Really? If you watch the YouTube channel and you see my progression that I've documented my life, that's credibility right there. But see, when you're dealing with an emotional feminine man, logic and reason does not penetrate. They're unreasonable. The ability to create without distraction will rescue you from life's issues. Absolutely. I mean, meditation led me to this lifestyle. The art of becoming, this is very true. You get real clear, and this removes all the clutter of your thinking. All right, Paul Brown. Psychedelic is the next thing. Because see, here's the thing. One of the things is many people feel that they're more important than they are. And this is something I've talked about in the past. There are some people who have better opinions than you do because they're informed opinions. This would be fact. And you now have many people like, I'm in this YouTube group, and the other night this event happened, and a lot of people are complaining because he's charging for this knowledge. And I actually did a testimonial because I'm like, if you take this course, it's going to change your YouTube career. You're going to become a better YouTuber because, you know, this is one of the reasons that I deleted the B School for Hustlers channel and the financial channel, because they really weren't hitting. And I'll actually go ahead and tell you why. The traffic that I was getting from Beast for the financial channel came from this channel. And this channel's already compromised, so I wasn't getting a good bounce. And what I learned in this course was a promotional method that could put the growth of the new channel on fire. And that's what I'm going to do. I'm actually strategizing, working on cover art and all the other stuff right now. Ganja, this is one of the things that happened, and this is why I was able to come up with Scheme Incorporated, and this is why I was able to leave that boarding house, because I had clarity. If you don't meditate, I recommend everybody start meditating. I strongly recommend that everyone starts meditating. I strongly recommend that people start using productivity apps, because I saw this video and I kind of agree with it and I kind of don't agree with it. And he was talking about systems over goals. And I thought it was a little misguided, because you need to have goals. Like, one of the things, the system. I'm not a sloppy or disorganized person. So this house never gets jacked up. I don't leave shoes everywhere. It's just because that's just who I am as a person. So my system promotes cleanliness and harmony, because that's the kind of person I am. But goals are very much required, because goals give your subconscious mind something to work on. Let's get back into the esoteric. Like, this is where I came up with the Dream Girl profile for Disruptive Male. If you sit down, like on the night, take out a pen, some paper, and what do I like about a woman? And write what you really desire the most out of a woman. This will activate parts of your brain that are not currently doing anything. This will activate, because one of the things, because I used to get into a lot of esoteric stuff. I used to be deep in astrology. I had my handwriting analyzed. I used to be really deep in that stuff. And one of the things I've learned from handwriting, if you change your handwriting, you will change your personality. That is how linked handwriting is to your mental. If you deliberately sit down and work on changing your handwriting, you will change your personality. Deep, isn't it? Journaling is good. Journaling is good. But I came up with the Dream Girl profile from meditation to handwriting analysis and research on handwriting. And I'm telling you, if you're a guy who's struggling with dating, your number one problem is you don't know what you want. And in order for you to get what you want, you must know what you want. It sounds real simple, but it's a hard thing for most people, because, you get somebody who doesn't know what they want, and they'll buy a car, they'll buy like a Lambo, and then 6 months later they're getting rid of it because they didn't really want the Lambo. And I don't want a Lambo because I've been in a Lambo, and the ride is rough. You feel every pebble, you feel every crack. It is not a comfortable car. Like, I have an Audi S4 that is tuned, the suspension's lowered, it's got the exhaust on it, and I have my BMW X5. The ride is so different that I actually prefer driving the BMW more than I drive the Audi, because I had to actually put a trickle charger on the Audi because I just simply don't drive it. Because, in wealthiest neighborhood in Atlanta, there's this one patch where the road is just rough, and you're on it, and it's like bam, bam, bam. And this is what it's like. And driving a Ferrari, the suspension is tighter. Ferrari is not an everyday driver unless you just like feeling every bump in the road. Oh, anyone can change belief. And this is one of the urban myths, because stupid people, uneducated people, when I say uneducated people, I'm not talking about people who went to college. I'm talking about people who don't know. Like, the simple thing is the Dream Girl profile. There are people who argue me up and down that it don't work and they won't even try it. Because what it does is it sends this signal to your subconscious mind, this is what I want. And your subconscious mind, deep in esoteric, has the ability to tap into the subconscious of others and draw them to you. So I found this out. I did this several times for the Craigslist protocols. I wrote the type of chick I wanted to answer my ad. This is what I got. This is what I got. consistently, this is what I got because I was very firm in knowing what I wanted. So I got what I wanted. When I got the BMW, real happy because it's what I wanted. I knew what I wanted. I researched the car. I test drove it. I knew that's what I wanted. And when I got it, I was happy. So when you get some and you ain't happy, you didn't really know what you wanted. Yes, the book, The Power of Subconscious Mind, that's an incredibly powerful book. Definitely people need to read more. But once again, this is the esoteric because, going on with female intuition, it's like women want to have something special that men don't have. And they go ahead and say women intuition. Women have something special that men don't have. They have breasts, they have ovaries, they have vagina, they have a higher estrogen proportion of hormone, they have a different thought. There's so many things that make women special that they don't have to create this fake narrative to be special. Well, I got female intuition and voodoo and witchcraft and all this other crap. You don't have to do that. You're just special by virtue of being a woman. Just by being a woman. You're just special. But there's a war with American women, or I should say westernized women and westernized men. And the war is women are trying to get power when, even when women couldn't vote and even when women couldn't have credit, women were still a protected class. Women's intuition may be a manifestation of penis envy. I don't know about that. That could be. I don't know. Well, once again, women's intuition, and once again, we all have intuition. And the more that you know about your environment, the better your intuition will be. This is how, when I get an email from someone, I can tell what kind of person. One of the things I can do is read people very well, from verbal clues, from written clues. Like my hater, he's fat. I'm like, what? He's fat. He's unhappy. He's miserable. He works at a job he doesn't like because he's full of hate. He's full of jealousy. He's full of envy. A masculine man can be a janitor and he can see a millionaire, and this dude will not be jealous of this millionaire. He'd be like, he's a man, I'm a man. End of story. That's it. That's it. But feminine men are extremely bitchy, emotional, and jealous. Very, very jealous hearted, very, very emotional. Well, Tracy, it would work for attracting men. Same thing for women. It's just this disruptive male, the dream girl profiles for men. If I had a channel for women, I would also suggest that women write up the characteristics of the type of man that you want. Because once you become in tune to what you really want and you isolate, I want a man who looks like this. I want a man who acts like this. I want a man with a personality like this. It's a game changer. It is a game changer. And once you start to climb into your mind and work on your mental, everything else outside of you will change. Everything else will change. Once you work on your inner mental dynamics, everything on the outside will drastically change. And this is why I'm so big on the esoteric. This is why I'm so big on mental conditioning and education. Because once you know how to use this stuff, it's literally life changing. It really is life changing. And one of the biggest issues why people are not successful is they don't have the right education. Like the night stream, urban myths. You got people who are consuming and believing and willing to fight over an urban myth. Well, doctors, sure, there may be a doctor or two who doesn't vaccinate their kids, but the overwhelming number of doctors vaccinate their kids. There may be some people from rich families who are drug users. The overwhelming number of people from rich families don't use drugs. There may be some rich people who are bad. They're called drug dealers. The overwhelming number of rich people are decent, hardworking human beings. This is reality, but people like these urban myths because you don't have to think. It was this story of this woman. She was cooking a ham, and she pulled out the ham and she cut off both ends of the ham and she put it into a pan and then put the pan into the oven. And her daughter was like, "Mom, why did you do that?" She said, "Well, my mom did it." So she called her mom and said, "Hey, Mom, why did you cut off both ends of the ham and then put the pan in the oven?" And she said, "My mother did it." And she called her mother and she said, "Why did you cut off both ends of the ham to put in the pan?" It's because the ham was too big for the pan. So I had to cut the ends off so it would fit in the pan. So a practical reason matriculated into, well, this is just how we do stuff. The first woman did it because it was practical. She needed to put the ham in the pan, and the pan wasn't big enough, so she had to cut the ends off. And this is something that her daughter and her granddaughter did because it was usual and customary. They did not do it for the practical reasons that the first person did. And this is one of the things that you have in our society with many people who are regurgitating and following customs and mannerisms with no real reason why these things were done. Ganja, hey, if you knew you weren't ready for marriage, that's a good thing you didn't get married. I mean, like every rich person I met was literally one of the nicest individuals I ever interacted with. Because when you're living in abundance, it's easy to be nice. It's when you're stressed out, lack of money, lack of time, lack of resources, it keeps you stressed out. Pretty much, Malik. Kevin Ludden, urban myths are a part of people's worldview. When challenged, they will often fight to the death to stay in their comfort zone. Ain't that the truth? Ain't that the truth? Like this fool I had to block today was going to tell me people I've known for 25 years that they were all lying to me. And then brought up my health issues, like, why didn't your doctor friends help? They didn't know. Like, I got a real close friend who's a doctor. He didn't know when I had a heart attack because I didn't tell him. He's like, why didn't you call me, man? I was like, I didn't really want to talk to anybody. But I don't put my personal health in the hands of other people. That's my job. Gotcha. So it's like practical turns to myth, myth turns into legend, pretty much. Thinking takes work, and the majority of people generally don't have the capacity to do so. The art of becoming more, I'm going to push back a little bit on that. Everyone has the ability to think, but everyone doesn't have the desire to think. You need that desire to actually sit and ponder and question things and have substantial conversations. Because when I used to have hair and I would go to the barber shop, the conversations were about women, sports. The conversations were never about how to make money. Now, I have not been in the barbershop in many years. I don't know if that's still the case, But I do know when I went to the barbershop, it was like, how you doing? People used to come in selling fish sandwiches and stuff like that. It really wasn't a place where people went to a higher level of thought. Well, I'm working, man. I'm a YouTuber. This is what I do. And one of the things that so many people have a hard time wrapping their head around is thinking. In the art of becoming more, you may agree with this. So many people do not want to think. They don't have the desire to think, and they don't know the difference between critical thinking and pondering. Critical thinking, like once again, with the vaccination issue. I used to work in the medical field, and I know that the vaccines that private doctors are getting are different from the vaccines that public health gets because the government has to buy these vaccines, and the government's going to buy the vaccine for someone who puts in the lowest bid. This is what I know from being in the military, and I know that many things that fail in the military because they went to the lowest bidder. It wasn't top-notch quality. Now, incidentally, these fighter jets and these missiles are not built by the lowest bidder. And this is why they're so effective. Yeah, man, I used to have hair back in the day. Thinking is hard, hindsight is 2020. Yeah, one of the big things is with urban myths is many people, well, I'm about to touch on something that's really, really tricky. Many people are steeped in religion, and religion creates this place where you can't question certain things. So a person who was raised to be very religious is just not going to question certain things because they're told that you cannot question God. Goonies girl, I don't have penis envy. Well, once again, Goonies girl, you're wrong on that women's intuition because men have intuition as well. Intuition is not the special provenance of women. See, that's where the thing got wrong. And that's why I say most women's intuition is whack because it comes as evidence after something went jacked up. Because if they were truly tapped into their intuition, they would not be having all these bad misfortunes and bad outcomes. That's why I call crap on women's intuition. Men have intuition, animals have intuition, every living creature has intuition. Women don't have this intuition. They just don't. I'm sorry. I got just as much intuition as you do. And because I meditate, my intuition is probably better than yours. How about that? How about that? Put that in your pipe and smoke it. Like when I'm on the highway and my intuition is like, you don't want to get on 75. And I don't get on 75. And later find out there's an accident on 75. I bet you my intuition is better than yours. Let's talk about that. I always questioned religion as a child. My family looked at it like an alien for not having the cell. Man, once again, once you're dealing with people who are indoctrinated in the religious mindset, there's just many things that you cannot discuss with them. You know, you can't discuss the dinosaurs. And this later on, it's like, well, those were the Levitans in the Bible. Another myth, girls mature faster than boys. Absolutely true. That girls do not mature faster than boys. They grow faster, they grow taller quicker, but actual real maturity doesn't happen until about their 20 something. This is true, Goonies girl, and many women have intuition. I tap into my feminine intuition. Again, it ain't feminine, it's intuition. Men and women have the same intuition. Again, we all have it, but it's different for me as a woman. I would counter it ain't different. Maybe if you meditate, it's sharper than the average person, but it ain't no different. Essentially, if all people meditated and tapped into their esoteric and their intuition, they would get the same results that you were getting. And one of the reasons that so many people struggle is they don't have the right operating instructions on living. Black Caesar, Uncle G, check out. Well, once again, I'm not saying that there aren't malpractices and bad things happen in medicine, but I'm also saying that I don't believe that the medicine is a wholesale corrupt. I don't believe that. Candace P, everyone has intuition, that's gut instinct. As a young kid, I was taught not to question shit, and this has happened when you're in a very religious family. Kevin Lugman, good comeback. Balder Dash, I think women may be more in touch with their feelings because it's more accepted for them to express them. That's a valid observation, because when I was in therapy, I had to get in touch with my feelings. It was horrible because I was feeling this way because my father wasn't in my life. And then this represented anger because I knew that my mother had something to do with that. And this is one of the reasons that so many kids don't have their father in their life, is because the mother has a point to prove. And we as a society do not like punishing women. We're just gotten to the point where if a woman is blocking a man from seeing his kids, she can now go to jail. We just got to that point, and it should have been like that all along, because so many times women would just lie and get away with it. Thank you, Malik. Religion, social programming at its finest. Pretty much, even now, my pastor's telling me telling people I'm an agent of the devil because of my views. Because you did not kowtow to that doctrine. Coach Mac McCarthy, would you say intuition based on your past experiences can be detrimental if you assume past experiences are going to? Absolutely. Absolutely, because you're not looking at stuff with a fresh mindset. Kevin Lugman, much of so-called women's intuition these days are assumptions and stereotypes. Pretty much. Alienation, that's what happens when a woman prevents a man from seeing his child. Is intuition why some babies cry when someone picks them up? I don't know. Art Austin, you clown the preacher. I would believe it. A good example about feelings. We all have intuition, but women feel it and express it differently than men. I got a strong meditation practice and in tune with my ancestors and higher self. Well, once again, valid point that women are allowed to express their emotions and men are taught to suppress their emotions. This is one of the things I learned with meditation, that I got in touch with my emotions because of the anger that I had. And once we discussed it and revealed it and talked about it, the anger dissipated. Because, just before she died, I found out who my father was, and I knew she had something to do with it. Because I just knew it. I instinctively, my intuition led me to believe, and it was correct, that she had something to do with it. Thank you, Tracy. No, girl, we ain't gonna agree to disagree. You just believe in some bullshit I don't believe in. There ain't nothing special about women's intuition. You meditate, so your intuition is probably sharper than the average person, but because you meditate, I guarantee there's a woman out there whose intuition is whack. It is whack. As someone said, stereotypes and misinformation. So they ain't no we can agree to disagree. You just wrong. You just wrong. Deal with it. I know people hate to be told that, but you are wrong. That disagree, we can agree to disagree. I know I may not change your mind, but you're wrong. I have way too much experience to lead me to believe this. Because once I started meditating, I'm going to tell you a freaky deaky story. One day I went long in my meditation and I started to see things mentally. I started to see the past. I started to see the future. It was crazy. And there's this wavelength that when you meditate and you can tap into the universe, it aligns you with so many things. Gandhi, I meditated at one point and started crying because this is stress. Meditation releases all this stress. Coach McAfee, I say I've had intuitive moments. I didn't realize that their significance till later on when the dots got connected and I look back and go, damn, I had a feeling I ignored. That's intuition, man. Fellas, Goonies girls are a reason why you don't argue with women. Excalibur, a lot of women's intuition is whack. That's evident through terrible choices in the men they make. LOL. Pretty much. Transcendental meditation. Steve Jamerson, that's wild. Jesus is Lord. Pretty Ricky has dated everyone in the club. Now he likes you. What does women's intuition say? Compete for him. No intuition. These urban myths, man, they're dangerous because going back to the evidence of why the great grandmother cut the ends of the ham off to fit into the pan, and the second daughter and the granddaughter did it because it was just customary. They just did it on autopilot. And this is what human beings do. They do stuff on autopilot like that with little regard to who, why, and what we're doing. All right, that's all I got for you guys. On the 15th, we're going to start with the education and the training. I got a lot of stuff that's coming up. All right, so once again, if you're on the email list, I'm going to start sending out emails. We're going to get into, because there's going to be some manhood training for these feminine men. And then there's going to be some more training in B-School for hustlers. So with that, I will see you guys later.